Hi everyone, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to another video. Today's video is a long one, just a fair warning. I am going to be showing you how to create an all digital card with an iPad. So the majority of the time when I use digital stamps, I do use them on my computer, my laptop or my desktop, but I want to show you how you can do a digital card with digital stamps with your iPad. I'm using an iPad 7, I think. I don't know. It's the newest one. It's not the Pro. That one's a little bit too thin for my kind of lifestyle. So I went with the thicker one. And I also have an Apple Pencil. I am going to be using an app that is called Procreate. But first, I want to show you how you get your digital stamps onto your iPad. So the majority of the time with Joy Claire stamps, they are going to be coming to you right after you buy them in a zip file. Now mine come in an email since Martha just emails those to me. I don't buy them. So this is how they come. They are zip files though. What I'm going to do is just tap it to download it. Now whenever that downloads, it's going to just go straight to my iPad in the zip file. Now once I have that zip file open, I'm going to go ahead and click Manage Folder. Then on this, right up at the top, there are these three little lines I'll show you in just a minute. That is going to give you all your different options that you have with this zip file. So in this particular file, I have a JPEG and I have a PDF. The majority of the time, you're also going to have a PNG, which you can use with the clear background. I don't have that with this particular file, so I am going to be using the JPEG today. So that is how you get them onto your iPad. Very, very simple. Just click the zip file to download it. And then right up at the top with that little box with the arrow, you're going to click that and then you're just going to save the image and that's going to put it into your photos. Super simple to do. Now the app I'm using is Procreate. It's not a free app. It costs $10 and it is a one-time purchase. I use this so much. My daughter uses it as well. She loves to draw on it. We practice letters on it. We practice sight words on it. It's a really fun one to use. I have all of my different things that I've created on here because I do use this for my drawing. I don't use anything other than this. So here you can see I have all my sticker sheets on there and I've just got a bunch of different things on there. These are all downloadable for free on my blog. I will leave that link down in the description box below. But what I want to do today is go ahead and open up a new project. So I'm going to click that little plus in the top right hand corner. Now I have all these different options and things I've already created, but I'm going to show you how to create a new custom size of screen here. So I've got all these different ones, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and click right up at the top that little plus sign again to create a new project. Now this gives you all kinds of options. I'm going to change my DPI to 300. Then on my width and height, I'm going to go into inches and I'm going to create an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper essentially. Now Joy Claire stamps come in an 8.5 by 11 format, so if you want to, you just print them off and you're good to go. But for this, I want to go ahead and bring in my photo now. So excuse all my pictures there, but what I want to do now is go ahead and open up that new artwork. It's untitled artwork. You can just click that title if you want to change it. Then I'm going to go right up at the top where it says gallery, one over to that little wrench tool. I'm going to click that and I'm going to click insert a photo. So right up at the top, click your little wrench, then you're going to go to the little add portion, which is the very far left option under the actions, and click insert a photo. Now I've chosen my photo once that's popped up and it just pops up on the screen and it's ready to go. Now the great thing about Procreate is anytime you do something, it's going to put it into a new layer. You can add new layers just like you do in Photoshop, all those kinds of things. So it's a great program to work in with your digital stamps. So once this is brought in the stamp set, which I'm using Floral Joy, it puts its own little layer. Now, what you want to do is click on that little squiggly line up at the top. Right next to gallery, you go over to, it looks like a little ribbon. Then I'm going to, down at the bottom, have the automatic selected, and then make sure your add is selected, and then just click on the white portion around the stamped images. That's going to select all that white area around the images. So if you don't have a PNG with a clear background, super easy to do this and create a clear background all your own. Now that shows all the area around the stamp. I'm going to go over, click select inverse, and then I'm going to click copy paste. That is going to put everything that was selected into a new layer. So now I have the background layer, which I can turn on and off. I have that first layer, which is the full stamp set, which I can turn on and off by clicking the little square and check marking it. Or now I have this new layer where it is just the images and all that white area around it is completely gone now, and I've got that clear background ready to be used. So I can layer up these stamps, build up different flowers if I want to, different arrangements. Super easy to do. Now, if you have a digital stamp set that already has a clear background, you can skip this step. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create a new canvas. So I'm going up to that little plus in the top right hand corner, and now I am going to create a 4¼ by 5½ inch panel. Now I already have mine selected because I create all the time in this and I have my card sizes ready to go. However, if you don't, you just need to click that little plus sign and create a new panel. Very simple to do. Just make sure that your DPI is set at 300. You can make it 5 by 7. You can make it 8½ by 11, whatever size you want to do. Now that that's created, I need to go back into my stamp set and I need to go ahead and select my images to bring into the project I'm working on. Now again, we're going to go up to that little ribbon at the top that we used with the automatic setting, but now we're going to switch to freehand. This is where the Apple Pencil really comes in handy. It's a lot easier to use than a mouse on a computer whenever you are selecting the stamp you want to use. Now you can also use the rectangle or the oval setting on that, or eclipse setting on that. However, I like to use the freehand. That way I can get right in the area around the stamp, and I'm going to go ahead and just use my Apple Pencil and draw around the stamped image that I want to use. Super easy to do. You can pinch and zoom as much as you need to in order to see the area around it. And then once you've done that, click the copy paste down at the bottom, and it's going to end up in a new layer right up in your layers tab. Then you just need to go ahead and click off your beginning layer, and then you just have the stamp that you want to use on its own little layer, and that's the only thing that's visible. That's what you want. Then we're going to go to the wrench tool on the left hand side and just click copy canvas. You want to copy the entire canvas. It's not going to copy the entire canvas, it's just the areas that are visible. So go ahead and click that. Then you want to click the gallery in the top left hand corner. That's going to bring you back into your gallery, and then you can click your new project, which mine is the 4¼ by 5½. Go back to your wrench and click paste. It's going to paste your stamp into a new layer. It's really that simple. Now you have this stamp to play around with on your project. Something I want to say though, now in Photoshop or Photoshop Elements, when you are working with images and you hang them off the side of your project, it still remembers the entire image that is there. With this program, if you hang an image off the side, it forgets it. It immediately cuts it off, and that is the new image you are working with. So always keep one image in its entirety. You can go into your layers tab, swipe to the right, and duplicate this as many times as you need to. So you just click the layers tab, then you can click it and it will give you lots of different options, or you can hold it and pull it to the right, and that's going to give you a few options as well. So I'm not going to worry about clicking it right now. You've got all these different options you can see. We're not even going to worry about those right now. Those are completely separate from what we're doing. We're going to pull to the right and then click duplicate. Now from that, you can also lock the image that you're working on, so you can't make any changes to it. You can also delete the layers as you want to. So just keep that in mind. All you need to do is swipe to the right and click duplicate, delete, however you want to do this. Then select your layer, and at the top you're going to click on your little arrow, and you can just move these images around as you see fit. It really is that simple. Now this is a great way to just create a very, very quick panel and then print it out and color it. You can print right from your iPad as well. It's super easy to do. I'll show you how to do that at the end of this video, because anytime you are going to print something with mine, it always ends up in an 8.5 by 11 mode. So I'll show you how to get around that as well and print to the size that you want to print to. But for now, I'm just going to very, very quickly go ahead and create a very quick panel just by moving these around and overlapping them. Now this is going to work the same way as it does with Photoshop Elements. The closer the layer is to the background, the further it is behind everything else. So you can move these layers around, drag them one on top of the other, move things behind, move things in front. All you need to do is hold the layer in the Layers tab and then drag it to where you want to do. It's very simple. So here I created a very quick panel, and I can print that and be ready to go. However, I want to do a completely digital card, so I want to color this image in. Now, if you bring the stamped image into the project that you're working on and it's not colored, a lot of times with this program, it's not quite as smart as Photoshop Elements, but it just wants to treat the image as one full layer. Now, if you know a workaround with that, great, use that, but here's what I do. So as you can see, I've got all my different palettes here. Um, I This is the color thing right at the top. You can see it's white now, but as I pick different colors, it's going to change. Now there are all different options to use in this color tab. You have the disc, you have palettes, you have harmony, you have the regular sliding tool, the like this, as you would normally, which you can go in and choose colors that way. And then you have the harmony, and then also you have the really specific where you can put in different numbers if you want a very, very specific color. I like to use palettes a lot. What I do is I go into Pinterest, grab a photo with those palettes on it, and then I grab the colors from it and create my own little color palettes, and that way I know everything kind of goes together. But as you can see, as I pull and drop in these colors, it's changing the entire image to that pink color. Now you can go in and just color, and that is super therapeutic. I've done it a time or two just to have some fun with it. But what you want to do to color in the image is actually go back to the main image you were working on. Go back to your stamp set, and then you can just drag and drop different colors. Now sometimes it won't quite catch the lines that it needs to, so there are times when I actually do go in and color the images themselves, like you'll see here in just a moment. So here when I dropped in the leaf, it colored in also an area of the flower. So I'm just going to skip that for now and continue to color in what I can. Now to color in by just dragging and dropping, all you need to do is select your color, then go up to the little area where the color is, hold it with your pencil, and drag it and drop it to the area that you want it to be colored. It's really that simple. There's not a whole lot to it. But there are going to be those times whenever the program just does not quite get the stamped lines. Now there are two ways you can do this. You can go around the stamped lines with black, and that will help contain the colors in those areas where you just want them to be, or you can do what I'm going to do in just a moment, and that is just color in the areas by zooming in and using your pen, which if I'm in a hurry, either one really works great. They're pretty simple when you have the Apple Pencil to work with. So I am just choosing different colors and dropping them into each one of these flowers to kind of color this in very, very quickly. Now this is super simple to do, and because I'm using that palette that I already had ready to go, um, it just takes a few clicks with my pencil and dragging and dropping. Now, like I said before, whenever I want to make a palette, which I do this a lot with creating my papers that I make, it makes it a whole lot easier. All I do is go to Pinterest, and I have a color combination board. And from there, I'll grab the picture, take a snapshot of it, and bring it into this program. Then what I do is hold my finger down on the areas of the color where I want to grab that color from, like I'm doing here. And it's going to change that color in the top right hand corner. Then you click that and you create your own little palette by just clicking down on that palette and adding the colors to it. Very, very simple and easy to do. If you would like a video on how to create palettes in this program and how I use Pinterest to my benefit for creating those, I'm happy to show you a video of that as well. It's very easy. Now for those areas that the program quite wouldn't recognize, what I want to do is just color these in with my pencil. Now this is easy to do by just changing the brush you're using. So I went ahead and chose a gel pen that I'm using very, very small. And you can see I have my brush library here. I've got the gel pen selected. And then over on the left, you can see on the top sliding bar, I have it down towards the bottom. That means that my brush size is very small. So I'm just going to zoom in and color around the images. This is a great way to do some coloring and not have to have a ton of coloring mediums on hand. I love to do this driving in the car or when I'm riding, not driving, obviously. When I'm riding in the car or I have to do some waiting around, I like to just color in images like this. It's super easy to do. Now, one thing I will say is when I started this, I did not put this on a new layer. When you don't put it on a new layer and then you try to just outline and drag and drop in color, it's going to change the color tone of the entire image that you're working on. So I'm going to very, very quickly color in this leaf just by simply outlining it and then coloring in with my pen. And it's super simple and easy to do. But here in just a moment, I'll show you how you can just outline the image and then drag and drop by creating a new layer. But you can see just how much you can truly zoom in on these images, and it's super simple and easy then to just color this image in by squeezing and really pulling out the image and making it super big. Now in my layers tab, I'm going to go ahead and click that little plus, and that's going to add a new layer. Now, all I'm going to do then is color in exactly how I would have to begin with. I'm in my brush library. I'm going to go ahead and go to the inking and click my gel pen and then go smaller with it, just so I can get really close up to those lines and around all those dots. Now I'm going to speed this up a little bit because it gets a little redundant, but I'm just going to very, very quickly use my brush, move the image around as I need to just by pulling and turning the image. You'll get really used to it. I don't even think as I do it anymore, but you just pull and turn and move it around as you need to color in this image. It makes it super simple. And then I'm just going to color around all those black little dots. Now this might seem tedious, but it does go very, very quickly. And then once I have all of that outlined, the majority of the space is going to be just white space. But I've created a solid image by connecting all those different lines. So all I need to do then is pull that pink color, use my Apple Pencil, hold down that pink color, and drag and drop it into the white space, and it's going to fill it all in. So all I need to do is just color in these very small portions and outline. The only thing you need to make sure of is you have an enclosed shape that you're working on. So you can't do like an open-ended circle or something like that. You need to have a closed area. It will drag it and drop it right into that enclosed area. And you can just continue to do that around the entire image. And I did that to the remaining leaves on the flower. And then I did the same exact thing to the centers of the flower. I just switched the color. So I switched it to that little bit darker of a coral color instead of so much of a pink color to just give it a different look. And this really just helped bring the whole thing together. Now again, as long as you zoom in, this is super simple and easy to do. It only takes a few minutes. And then once I have all of this outlined and I have an enclosed area, I can go ahead and just drag and drop in that color. You do want to make sure that you go around the little black dots, because if you just did the outline and drag and dropped in that color, it's going to cover up those black little areas, the little specks in the flower, because it's on a new layer. So just keep that in mind as you're going in and filling this in. Once you have those areas outlined, you can drag and drop in color, but make sure that you have those outlined so you don't lose the detail in your images. Now, as I'm working on this, you might see me using 2 fingers to tap a lot to undo things and 3 fingers to redo things. This again becomes second nature with this program. Now, with my program, I have it set to where it does not color anytime my finger hits the screen. So it just recognizes my pencil as the object I'm using to color. But with my hand, I can do some controls. When I tap 2 fingers on the screen, that will undo what I've done. I can hold down 2 fingers and then the undo will go very, very quickly. Then if I hold 3 fingers down, it will redo everything I've done very quickly. If I tap 3 fingers on the screen, it's going to redo one action at a time. This becomes, again, really intuitive as you use the program more. Now, once I have everything colored in, I'm going to go ahead and click my layer. And this time, instead of pulling to the right, I'm going to click the layer I want, which is that colored area that I did. And I'm going to merge it down to the full image. Now, once everything's colored, I'm going to go back up to my wrench. I'm going to copy the canvas. Then I'm going back into my 4¼ by 5½ project in the gallery. I'm going to clear out all these layers because I want the actual colored images on there. Go to my wrench and paste in my new colored image. Super simple. Now again, remember, as you are using this, you want to make sure that you always have a full image on your screen, because with this program, anything that hangs off the edge is automatically cut off. The program forgets that it's there. You can undo, of course, but it's easier just to have that full layer on there at all times and duplicate from it. So I always keep my first layer as my main layer that I'm working off of and just pull from there, because a lot of times if you duplicate a layer and then that duplicated layer you duplicate and then again duplicate that duplicated duplicate layer, it will start to get a little grainy and fuzzy and weird with this program. So as long as you work off that main layer that you brought in, it will keep that crisp image, but every time you duplicate a duplicated layer, it gets a little grainier. So just be sure that you're working off that main layer every time you want to go in and duplicate. Now with this program, you can move around, you can twist, you can turn just like you can in Photoshop. It's a little bit easier because you're using your pencil and it's just twirling it around really. It's super easy to do. You can also mirror the images, flip them if you want to. A lot of different things you can do with this, just like you can in Photoshop, except it's on an iPad. And to be quite honest, I find this a little bit easier than using a mouse, just personally. And I like to pull and twist and turn and really just go in and have fun. I also find this easier to look at and see what I'm doing than on a computer screen. I don't know, maybe it's my eyeballs, but this is just easier for me. And again, I like to just move these around, duplicate as I need to, and then just work from that main layer and move them around until I'm happy with it. Now this next part that I'm going to share with you is where I have some fun. So once I get all of these layers on there, I'm going to add my sentiment first, but I want to come back in just a little bit and show you how I can make this, take it even a little bit further. So when I first ended this, I thought it needed a little bit of color in the background. So I am going to change the background color on this in just a moment, and that's very, very simple to do. But before I do that, I want to remind you that why I can do this is because I am using digital stamps. With digital stamps, there's no permanency until you print. You can always go back and undo it. You can always remove, delete, not like you can with real stamping. So it just makes it a little bit easier to play around and have fun with layouts and experiment. All right, so I have my panel done. Now the first thing I want to do is combine all these layers so they're in one layer. So what I like to do is just take all those layers, hold from the top to the bottom, and pinch them together. It's super simple. It pops into one layer. You can also merge down just by clicking and then clicking merge down or merge layers until you have all of those layers combined into one. Now the background color, all you need to do is go to the background layer in your layers tab and change the background color. Super simple to do. Now I would have left this as is, but I decided that I wanted to add my sentiment. Now the thing with the sentiments is it just selected the area around the sentiments whenever I went and selected all that white area around all the images. So when you have like O's and A's and D's and E's and things like that, it ends up leaving the white area inside the sentiments. Now if you have a white background, that's totally fine. But with this, it's not. I had that blue background on, but I still wanted the blue on my image, but it just didn't look right with those O's and the area around being a little white. So I tried to go a little lighter, still didn't work out. So I added my sentiment, changed the background color right back to white. Now here's where I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to add a new layer into my layers tab. I'm going to go to that light blue color that I wanted and go into my brush library. Now I'm going to go into the, I believe it's like spray paint or something like that. I didn't see exactly what it was and I can't remember, but this, or an airbrush, excuse me. But all you do is go in and airbrush around that image. Now I like to do it on top so I get all the area around, and then I just move that layer right to the background. And then this was a little bit dark. I tried to use my smudge tool to just smudge out the edges and blend it out a little bit more, but the blue I chose was just a little bit too dark. But again, that's no big deal because I'm using digital stamps. So I just deleted my layer, added a new layer, added a little bit lighter of a blue color just by moving my little disc color around, and then I'll go right back in. I also brought my brush size down a little bit smaller, and I kept this haze closer to the flowers instead of bringing it so close to the sentiment. And again, I am just coloring around all those white areas with the behind the flowers so it colors in all that space as well. Super simple and easy to do. And then I just take that layer, move it behind, and it's ready to go. So easy to do, and just play around with my layout and play around with all the different options I have. Now I want to print, but if I try to print this right now, it's going to print full 8.5 by 11. Now the great thing about this is you have different options. You can email this to yourself and print it off from your computer. You can take it to your Dropbox, download it from there. You can send it in a text message to somebody if somebody just needs a little pick-me-up. I mean, it seriously is that easy. But if you want to print this out and create it into a card, what you need to do is go back to that gallery, open up a new 8.5 by 11 sheet, then we're going to go and add a drawing guide. All you do is click on that little wrench, click on the and instead of the Add tab, you're going to click the canvas and click your drawing guide on. You can edit your drawing guide. I like to make mine pretty big when I'm working like this so I know exactly where my quarter of a piece of paper is because that's the size of an A2 card front. Then I just go ahead and line up my sentiment. I put a little bit of a white border around it so it would print like that. And okay, just forewarning, I did this wrong. What I did was I put it on the left side. It needs to go on the right side. Then you just click export in your tab, your little wrench tab, and you just click print and it prints out. And it's that easy. But you can see I lined mine up on the left side. It really should be lined up on the right hand side and then print it out so it will fold correctly. Then all you need to do is take that piece of paper, line it up in your paper trimmer, chop it off at 5.5 since I am using this size of a card, and I'll just chop that right in half, and then I'll line it up at 4.25 inches with one side and use my bone folder to put a crease right down the center so I can fold it. Now you don't have to put a crease down the center, you can just put the two ends together and fold it. It's really very simple and it's not rocket science, it's very easy to do. But you can see obviously it's not that simple because I printed it off wrong, but you get my point. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this in half and then I have my card ready to go. Now I never planned on leaving this as a card. You could always, as long as you print it off right, leave it as a card and it's ready to go. But I like to take it a step further and make it even more handmade looking. So let me show you how I do that. First of all, like I said, I printed mine off right. This is the beauty of digital stamps. All you need to do is go change that to the right orientation, line it up, and then print it off again, and you're good to go. And you can save this and use it over and over again. And like I said, you can email this, you can text it to somebody if they just need a little pick me up. But anyway, what I decided to do was I trimmed out the panel and I matted it with the black cardstock mat and added it to an A2 top folding card base. Super simple and easy to do. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and a look at how you can use your digital stamps with your iPad to create a completely digital card. This is great for if you're on the go, or if you're like me and you're in the process of moving house, you have a great option to still make those handmade cards, but you don't need all the bells and whistles of your craft room. That is going to do it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. All the supplies I used are going to be listed down in the description box below, except for the app. I will try to link that, but if I can't, it is called Procreate. You can find it in the Apple App Store. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and happy crafting!